Anyone can start a company, but what about building something that actually lasts? Something that goes beyond your own lifetime, a real legacy for your family. Today, we're diving into how to do just that. But before we get into the playbook, we have to start with a pretty stark reality.
All right, I want to start with just this one number, 2%. Just let that sink in for a second. What do you think that represents?
Well, that's the estimated percentage of new businesses that are actually considered successful after just 5 years. That's it. The vast majority either fail completely or they just get stuck, barely treading water. It is a tough world out there for entrepreneurs.
So you see a number like that, and you gotta wonder, right? With the deck so heavily stacked against you, why would anyone even try? Why put yourself through all that stress and uncertainty? Well, here's the thing. It's because you can aim for something so much bigger than just survival. You don't have to build a business just to get by or replace a salary. You can build it to thrive, to create something incredible that will outlive you. You can build it for significance. And really, it all boils down to two completely different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got the one-generational mindset. It's all about survival, right? Replacing a paycheck. And what usually happens, the business dies when the owner retires or passes away. But then you've got the three-generational mindset. Here, the focus completely shifts to significance, to creating real, transferable wealth. And the outcome? A legacy that lasts.
Okay, so how do you actually make that shift? How do you get from the left column to the right? Well, the journey from survival to legacy, you can actually map it out. And I want you to think of it like your own personal hero's journey, broken down into 4 key stages. These are the 4 stages we're going to walk through: struggle, stability, success, and then that ultimate goal, significance. Pretty much every business owner goes through these stages, but really understanding them, well, that's the key to making it all the way to the end.
All right, let's dive into phase 1, struggle. And boy, is that the right word for it. This is startup life. Financially, your cash flow is negative. You're bleeding money. And emotionally, it's brutal. You feel completely overwhelmed, totally alone, and you're wrestling with that terrifying feeling that you don't know what you don't know. The only path forward is to get that income up or slash those expenses fast. So you survive the struggle and you hit phase 2, stability. You think, phew, I've made it. Cash flow is finally positive. But there's a huge trap waiting for you right here. The entire business now revolves around you. You become the bottleneck for every decision. And emotionally, it's so easy to get comfortable, to get complacent. And that is dangerous because it leads to stagnation, and it's when your best employees start looking for the exit.
But if you can avoid that trap and keep pushing, you hit the really exciting part. Phase 3, success. Your business is a well-oiled machine now, and it's time to scale up. This is where you think about franchising, maybe listing on a stock exchange, or breaking into new markets. And your role changes dramatically. You're not the doer anymore. You're the leader, empowering your team. And this is the moment you absolutely have to start thinking about a succession plan.
And that brings us to the final stage, the whole reason we're on this journey. Phase 4, significance. At this point, your business becomes a true force for good in the community. You're not just making a profit, you're mentoring the next generation of entrepreneurs, you're funding new ideas, and you're creating a lasting legacy that impacts countless lives.
Okay, so we've got the roadmap. But you can't go on a journey without some tools, right? So let's stock your generational toolkit with a few essentials.
First up, and this one is absolutely crucial for getting through that brutal struggle phase, is the MVP. That stands for minimum viable product. The concept is genius in its simplicity. Do not waste months or years trying to build the perfect product. Get the most basic version you can actually sell out the door now to get that cash flowing. You can make it perfect later.
Next, of course, you're probably going to need money. Here's a quick rundown of the 4 main ways to get funded. You can sell off pieces of the company, that's shareholders' equity. You can borrow it from investors, which is loan capital. You can trade your own time and skills for ownership, that's sweat equity. Or you can get creative and barter, trading what you do for what you need.
But I gotta tell you, as important as cash is, it's not the most powerful resource you have. Not even close. The real game changer, it's people. It's your network.
And there's actually a formula for this. It sounds a little geeky, but stick with me, because this shows the incredible power of your network. Basically, it calculates all the possible one-on-one relationships in a group of like-minded people. P is for people, and S, that's for synergistic relationships, or what we'd call business opportunities. And just look at what happens when you plug in the numbers. This is where it gets absolutely insane. A small group of 10 people creates 45 potential opportunities. Okay, cool. But 100 people? You get nearly 5,000 opportunities. And if you could get 10,000 people together, you're looking at almost 50 million potential connections. Wow. That is the explosive power of collaboration.
So we've got the journey, we've got the tools. For this last part, let's look at that end goal, legacy, and learn from some real masters of the game. You know, there's this really fascinating way of thinking that comes out of Japan, which, by the way, has an insane number of ancient, still-running businesses. Their whole approach isn't about short-term gains or what's best for the next quarter. It's about a deep, profound commitment to longevity. They always prioritize the future over right now. And the results of that thinking are just staggering. Look at this, a hotel that's been in continuous operations since the year 705. A construction company from 970. And yeah, that last one is Nintendo. Long before video games, they started out making playing cards way back in 1889 and just kept evolving generation after generation.
So what's the secret sauce? How did they pull this off? Well, it comes down to a few key strategies. They often pass the business down to just one heir to keep it strong. They use this amazing tool called adult adoption. If their own kid isn't the best person for the job, they'll literally adopt the most capable manager to take over. And they're masters at balancing deep tradition with constant innovation, all in service of one thing, continuing the name and the legacy.
At the end of the day, though, whether you're in that first phase of struggle or building a global legacy, it all boils down to one simple, powerful trait. As President Coolidge put it, it's not about talent or genius. It's that persistence, determination, and hard work makes the difference. So, as we wrap this up, the real question isn't just about what business you're going to build. It's about what you're building it for. Your journey starts right now. So, what will your legacy be?